Well, hello, Stacy Murphy here with a quick video on harvesting. You may be shocked to hear that harvesting takes up about 40% of your garden time. So what that means is that almost half of the time that you spend gardening is actually harvesting. That's unbelievable. So that means that if you can speed up your harvest, if you can do it more quickly, more efficiently, that means that you can garden faster in general. And I'm always interested in that. I love enjoying time in my garden, but I also love getting the food to my table very quickly. And so that's really what's important to me, is the fresh, delicious, organic food and getting it to the table as quickly and efficiently as possible. So for harvesting, what that means is carrying enough tools on your body so that you have everything you need for the harvest process. It also means being able to carry as much harvest as you can so that you don't have to walk back and forth into and out of your garden with all of that harvest. And this is especially true if you have a garden that's, let's say, farther away from your house. You don't want to spend time walking back and forth when you could carry it all with you once. So those are some of the reasons why I think it's important to try to find gadgets or things or ways to harvest more efficiently. So this week I checked out the Rue Apron by Pantry Peritus, and check it out. So what is a Rue apron? Well, essentially it's kind of like being a kangaroo. That's the concept behind it. So it gives you a big pouch that you can carry around things in front, and so it's very useful. So basically you just slide the thing over your head, put your arms through the loops, and then you reach around the back, and there's a little hook that you connect, and it adjusts for different sizes, which I thought was pretty cool. So depending on how tall you are or how short you are, it doesn't matter. And there's a little strap where you can basically cinch it as tight as possible. And then basically you have this big pouch below so you can carry around your harvest. What's cool is you can store all of your tools also inside of the pockets at the top. And so I'm going to carry around my scissors. In this case, I don't have my rubber bands. I didn't have any handy, so I wanted to have my twist ties. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the bottom of this bag, and I'm going to attach it so that whatever I put inside of my pouch doesn't fall out the bottom. So now I have all of this storage space that I can use, and you can see it's pretty significant. And you can see why it's called the Rue. So what you can see this is good for right away are lots of large fruits. Maybe you have a lot of cucumbers to harvest, or a lot of eggplants to harvest, or maybe it's apples from a tree or oranges. And the cool thing is that if you are harvesting from a tree, you can actually step up onto ladders and you can have all of your harvesting right on you. So you don't have to dangle a harvest tub from the branch of a tree. It's actually right on your body. And it's right at the center of your gravity, which is cool. So that way it doesn't throw off your balance. Okay, so after you pick all of these fruit, the cool thing is that we already have zipped up these this little bottom loop. What we do is we just untuck that bottom loop, and then all of the fruit just comes pouring out of the bottom. So it's really easy to take whatever you did harvest and dump it out the bottom. So it's very fast, it's very efficient for things like cucumbers and eggplant in your garden, and then also anything in tree form like avocados, etc. Now, what it's also cool for, now you'll see me here, and what I'm doing is I'm putting in these little plastic containers. I'm going to go harvest some spinach and some carrots and some chard from the garden, and so I'm going to put little containers into this, into my little Rue apron so that I can harvest into each one of them separately. And you can see if you get just the right containers, they fit really well and they fit snugly, and they don't really move around all that much. Now the one trick is if you have these containers, you want to make sure you can bend easily with them. So I recommend bending with a straight back. You can squat with your legs out to the side, and then you can basically put things into the buckets, and your scissors are there, very handy for you. And what's nice about squatting is that you keep an upright back, so it keeps your back nice and safe during the harvest. So another way to use it is to put one knee down on the ground. That keeps the buckets upright and you're really stable. If a squat is difficult for you, then maybe a lunge might work better. All right, here I am out in the field with my spinach. So I'm going to squat down and keep those buckets upright. And I'm going to reach into my bed, and I'm just going to start cutting my spinach and putting it into one of the containers. And I can keep cutting that spinach and basically fill my bucket up to whatever level I like, or until I'm done harvesting spinach. And then when I'm done, you can see here I'm filling up this bucket because I know this is about how much my housemates are going to eat for breakfast. And then I can just leave that bucket right inside the apron and move on to the next crop. And then here I'm squatted down in front of the carrots. This is my row of carrots, and I'm going to look for some carrots that are large enough to harvest. And what I'm doing is I'm basically feeling for the top of the carrot to find out if it's large enough to pull out of the ground. So I basically push away the soil a little bit, and then when I feel that the top of the carrot is large enough, I pull it out. This is what's called a Hercules variety carrot, so it is a small carrot made for raised bed gardenings. It really only grows to 6 inches long, so this is pretty much full maturity. And then I'm going to keep harvesting a couple of other baby carrots. These are not quite ready, but they are delicious, and so I'm going to pull them out of the ground as well and have a little snack. Now what's cool is when I'm done harvesting the carrots, what I'm going to do is the carrots have soil still on them and the tops are clean, and I can use the tops to make pesto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the carrots into my bucket with all the soil on them, and then my other tops, my carrot tops, are all clean. I'm going to put that into a different bucket so that they stay clean, and I can reach into my pocket, I can grab out a twist tie that'll make them stay together a little bit easier, and then when I'm done I can stick that into the third bucket. And now I'm ready to move on to my final crop, my Swiss chard. Okay, so here I am for my Swiss chard. I'm going to squat down. Be careful that those buckets don't move around on you. And I don't need my scissors for this. I can just basically pull off the chard, and I'm looking for the bottommost leaves of the chard. What I do is I harvest down to 3 leaves left on the plant. So I'm taking the outermost leaves, which is the old growth, and I'm leaving the new growth, which is the inner growth. And basically, when I get to the point where I harvest enough chard, and maybe it's for brunch, maybe it's for lunch, and I know that I'm just going to cook greens for myself. So then I have my handful. I can put a rubber band around this as well, or I can put a twist tie around this, whatever makes the most sense. You can also leave it without that, and then put it into my bucket. So there you go. You come back with your crops and everything is all connected to you. You have your scissors and all your crops. You have your spinach filled in one container. You have your carrots that you can wash in a second container so that you don't have any soil in any of your other containers. And then you have your greens. And what I can do now is I can go inside, I can wash those carrots, and I can take the bucket of greens and I can add some water. And then I can basically just put this out on the table for my housemates to enjoy for breakfast. And there you go. So the roux apron is pretty interesting. Well, when you look at it, you probably think the best use of it is going to be for harvesting fruit crops. I actually like it to harvest these other crops as well, because it allows me to harvest everything all at once and not have to walk back and forth. It allows me to put things that might have soil on it in a different container than my greens, which I want to keep clean. And then I can just use those containers, fill them with a little bit of water at the bottom, and then I can leave them as green harvest bouquets on my table. So it's a pretty cool little apron, and it works really nicely. It fits really nicely. So I would recommend you check it out, and that is at Pantry Peritus. So there you go. I love checking out these new garden gadgets. It gives me great enjoyment to see if I can reduce the amount of time that I'm spending gardening so that I can spend more time enjoying the food that is on my plate. I do enjoy spending time out in the garden, but one of the things that gives me great joy is testing these out and seeing how fast and efficient that I can be. And while it may not seem like I've saved a whole lot of time here, what's cool about this gadget is that if you have a significant size garden, let's say 200 square feet, you could probably harvest most of your garden and bring it all in versus having to make several runs back and forth with all of your different crops. So check it out for yourself. I think it's a pretty cool gadget. So if you have a favorite garden gadget, I would love to hear from you. Post in the comments below and share what that gadget is. Sometimes these gadgets could bring us great enjoyment just by using them because they make our lives so much easier. So I'd love to hear from you. And each season I host a Garden Hack Summit, and I'm always looking for new tricks and new experiments. And so it'd be really fun to hear from you. And you might be contributing to the next Garden Hack Summit. All right, I'll see you on the next video.